Chapter 3 Minerals and Power Resources. Students, in this chapter we will be discussing what is a mineral, where do we get the minerals, how are they found in different continents, like are they found in large quantities, less quantities, what type of minerals are found in different continents. All these we will be discussing in this chapter. Along with that, we also give a special emphasis on the minerals which are used in generating power. So what are the minerals that are used as resources to generate power, that we will be focusing now. First of all, what is a mineral is? A mineral is a natural substance which is occurred in nature with a predefined chemical composition. That predefined chemical composition is nothing but which is determined by the nature itself, where the humans do not have any role to do here. A naturally occurring substance which is having a predefined chemical composition is known as the mineral. So where do the minerals come from? The minerals come from the nature. So in the nature we have these minerals which are having a predefined chemical composition. This predefined chemical composition, here the role of the human in either making a mineral or in this chemical composition is zero, where the role of the human is nothing. It is naturally occurred substance that is nothing but a mineral. These minerals are differentiated basing on the color, basing on the thickness, basing on the availability and different other categories. So the differences are found in their chemical composition actually here. A mineral which is formed in the nature has different nature properties, because when it is combined with different chemicals, the same chemical may give a different type of reaction basing on the other component which is getting added to this one. This entire thing is also used as a resource sometimes to generate electricity or power. Now we will check from where do we get these minerals. Now, basing on the minerals, how many types of minerals are there? There are nearly 3000 minerals available for us in the nature. Basing on the composition, overall minerals are 3000 for us. Among these 3000, we have divided them basing on the chemical composition of the minerals. The minerals which contain the elements which are related to iron, which contain to good conductors of heat and electricity, are categorized as metallic minerals. The others who don't contain this nature are called as non-metallic minerals. So basing on the composition of the minerals, the 3000 minerals are broadly categorized into minerals of metallic and non-metallic. Metallic minerals example is we have iron ore and bauxite, which act as good conductors of heat and electricity. When it comes to the non-metallic, which does not contain the metallic nature in their chemical composition, those come under the non-metallic minerals. These non-metallic minerals are coal, petroleum and gypsum are the examples of non-metallic minerals. Now these metallic and non-metallic minerals are again further divided. The metallic minerals are again redivided into ferrous and non-ferrous minerals. Ferrous, which contain iron in them, that is like iron ore, manganese, come under the category of ferrous minerals. Coming to the non-ferrous minerals, that is the gold, the silver, the copper, these all does not contain any of the iron or iron particles. So they come under the non-iron group, that is non-ferrous group, that is the gold, silver and copper. So like this, the 3000 minerals which are available in the nature are broadly categorized basing on the chemical composition of that particular substance, that is metallic and non-metallic. Metallic are again redivided into ferrous group and the non-ferrous group. Coming to the metallic, we can see here iron ore and bauxite are the metallic examples of metallic industry, metallic chemicals. Coming to the non-metallic examples, we have coal, petroleum and gypsum. Coming to ferrous and non-ferrous group, the examples are iron ore, manganese. Non-ferrous group, we have gold, silver and copper. How the minerals are extracted? How the minerals are taken from the underlayers of the earth? Where are the minerals found actually? Minerals are found in the deeper layers of the earth. They are buried under the rocks of the earth. So what is a rock actually? A rock is a combination of 2 or 3 different types of minerals without a predefined chemical composition. It can also contain different types of ores, different types of chemicals, different types of minerals together is called a rock, which is in solid state. These rocks, under these rocks you find the different kinds of minerals and the layers of the earth. So minerals are found buried under the rocks. So the process of taking the minerals from the layers of the earth is known as extraction. They are bringing the minerals which are in the inner layers of the earth towards the upper part and use it to the level of the ground and use them. So there are different methods to bring the minerals onto the layers of the earth. 1. Mining. 2. Drilling. 3. Quarrying. These 3 are the main methods how the minerals are brought from the inner layers to the upper layers. So in mining, again we have the open cast mining and shaft mining. What is open cast mining? Open cast mining, for example, if you take iron ore, they generally do the open cast mining. They take the entire layers of the earth by removing with the cranes and all. So they go deeper and deeper by making a playground like a structure, and they take the entire mud layers, one layer after the other layer and the other layer. So they go so deep till where they get the iron ore available for them. So they don't dig a small hole or something, but they dig the entire region like a wide area, and they make it as a map, and slowly they remove the layers after layers after layer so that they can go into the deeper layers. So it is very wide and open. So it is called as open cast mining. This open cast mining is mainly used in Ballari region when they are doing the iron ore extractions. When they are extracting the iron ore in Ballari is a good example of open cast mining. And now we will move to the next category of mining, that is shafts mining. The shafts mining happens, that is by having a hole under the earth. So they drill the earth by making it a hole, and these holes are known as shafts. These holes go deeper and deeper, and from through that they extract the minerals. So extracting the minerals through a small hole or shafts is known as shaft mining. And moving on to the next category, drilling. These people drill the earth. The layers of the earth are being drilled and then go inside and extract the minerals outside. And later we have the quarrying. Remove the layers, break the hills, cut them into small particles, and these stones are transported from here to the other places. The quarry stones are removed from there and they go deeper and deeper and get the minerals outside. So whatever it is the method that we are doing, we are actually extracting the natural minerals which are available in the nature. It can be either mining on the open cast mining or the shaft mining. It can be on the drilling method or it can be quarrying. All these methods are used to extract the minerals from the different layers of the earth which are buried under the rocks. Agriculture. What is agriculture? Agriculture is a word which is derived from a Latin language that is Ager or agri and culture. So agri means here soil and culture means cultivation. So according to the Latin language, the word agriculture means soil cultivation. In our chapter, we will be discussing what is agriculture, in which category of the sectors does agriculture fall into. In order to make a plant to grow and reach to the full useful resource, it has to pass through various sectors. So when we plant a sibling, that has to grow, that has to produce something, that has to be collected, and then that has to be distributed in the market and then sold in the market. For all these things, it has to cross through different sectors like primary, secondary, third one tertiary sector or service sector. In the primary sector, the basic things like quarrying, farming, cultivation, then quarrying of the stones, drilling of the oil, all these things, mining, come under primary activities. Where the basic activity of anything starts, let it take the raw materials used or taking the raw materials into the purpose. So all these things come under the primary sector. So once the activities are done in the primary sector, then you get a product which is not in the complete form. It has to be modified, it has to be made. So when we get the raw iron, that has to be made into the shape which we need. For this, we need a factory, we need a manufacturing unit. These manufacturing units come under the category of the secondary sector. So now, from primary, after producing something, you get it manufactured in the manufacturing unit. So everything is being finalized and now it has to be sold. So in order to transport the product from the crop region to the factory point, from the factory point to the outlet point, from the outlet point to the nearest stores. So everything we need transportation, we need the trade, we need the business contacts between them. So all these things are actually coming under service sector or the tertiary sector. Hospitality, business, banking, everything comes under the service sector. Service sector is nothing but acting as a link between the primary and the secondary sector. It supports the primary and the secondary sector to give its full potential. This support given to the primary and secondary sector is known as service sector. So like this, we have three important sectors. A plant, to grow it into a full useful resource, it needs to pass through certain stages. Those are the primary, secondary and the tertiary sector. So in this chapter now we will be discussing how did agriculture fall into the primary sector? What is the role of the agriculture? We will be finding out now. Agriculture. Agriculture in the entire world, there are nearly 50% of people depending on agriculture. Agriculture comes under the category of primary sector, where the basic work will be started. So now moving on to understand how this agriculture plays an important role in India, because in India we have nearly 2/3 of people depending on agriculture. Nearly 70% of people depend on agriculture. These 70% of people are depending on the primary sector. When we talk about the primary sector, we need to remember that here in the primary sector, the people, those who are depending on this sector, are having highly unstable income. The income which is not guaranteed for them. Why do we say that the income in the primary sector is not guaranteed? Because in the agricultural sector, agriculture truly depends on the climate of a place and the land. India has a very vast availability of land. But when it comes to the availability of water, 50% of Indian farmers even today depend on agriculture, the rainwater. So rainwater is the main source for them to start their crops growing, to start the crop season. Now, as the time passed on, the monsoon started to play a very vital role on the lives of the farmers. We generally see farmers committing suicides when there is no proper monsoon rainfall occurring in the month of June. That results in the failure of the crops or delay in the crop season, which ultimately forces the farmers to commit suicide. So here, if the rains come in time and it creates a good reap, the crop will give more benefit for us. But if the rains are not proper, they could not get you good results, the crop was not ripen up properly, you don't get any income, so you will be in loss. So the investment what you kept on the soil will become waste. That is the reason why many of the farmers commit suicide. So that's why we are saying that the agriculture, as it falls in the primary sector, it is having very unstable nature. The income is not at all guaranteed in this primary sector, especially agriculture, which we have seen in our country from the past 6 decades. Now moving on further, agriculture needs the support of land and water. So these two combinedly we can call climate and topography. The climate and the topography of a region should support the farmers to do the agriculture. The fertility of the soil should be good, the availability of the water should be there. Then only you can do good agriculture. So the conditions which are favoring a farmer or the land to do cultivation is called arable land. The land which supports to do agriculture is known as arable land. The spelling is A-R-A-B-L-E, arable land. Which do not support the agriculture are known as waste lands.